Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Surround sound.
Recording in progress.
People coming in? Okay. All right, good. We'll get started here. Good evening. Thank you for coming along here. Hopefully you're in the right place. We're going to be talking about the 2022-2023 lead and galvanized service replacement project for the city of Batavia. This is meant to be kind of an open forum. We are going to be presenting what is going to be happening as part of this project. There's going to be a question and answer session at the end. Certainly invite engagement, some questions if you have them. That's what this is for. We're here to inform you as to what's going on, make you feel comfortable about the process, and make sure that we answer any questions that you may have. I'm Stephen Dennison. I'm with Engineering Enterprises. Our office is in Sugar Grove. Me and my family live here in Batavia, so we're happy residents and go Bulldogs. We have here a handful of folks from the city and EEI and the contractor. So as needed, they will be helping, assisting, answering questions. Don't need to do introductions, do you think, or? Okay. So we'll proceed into the presentation, and we'll do introductions of folks if they need to speak up for any particular reason. We will be introducing Chris Ahern with Brandt Excavating, who's represented a contractor here a little bit later on. Part of the agenda, talked about the introductions and opening remarks already. I will be discussing the project overview, process of homeowner meetings, introduction of Brandt Excavating, estimated schedule for the project, and then the Q&A session at the end. Starting with the project overview. So this is Batavia's first large-scale planned lead service line replacement project. That's the LSLR's lead service line replacement. You see that acronym quite frequently. The city is utilizing funding from the IEPA with 100% principal forgiveness up to $4 million. It's a very lucrative project. It's taken a lot of planning, a lot of advanced planning. The city's been very proactive to get this project underway, to take advantage of essentially what is a grant of $4 million from the IEPA, because they tow it a loan, but since it's principal forgiveness, there's no money out of the pockets of the city for this project. So it's been great to get to this point, ready to get in construction now, take advantage of the funding opportunity that's in front of us. Replacement of approximately 280 lead service lines, that's plus or minus. That number is going to change during construction, but that's the number that we're aiming for, to take advantage of as much of that $4 million as possible. Most of the service line replacements are going to be all the way from the water main to the meter. So as it relates to, let's see if I can move this around a little bit for folks here. As it relates to the lead service line replacements, this is on the screen here is kind of a schematic of what the service line looks like. So you have the water main that is out usually under the street, and then there's a service line that's tapped into the water main that goes into the home. The city-owned portion is between the water main and the service valve, or curb box, or B box as it's referred to. And then the private side is between the B box and the home. So when we talk about a full lead service line replacement, we're talking about replacing it from the water main all the way through the meter inside the home. There are also partial replacements as part of this project, which I'll talk about in a little bit here, but there's partial replacements that can be either from the water main to the B box, or from the B box to the meter. So again, most of the service line replacements on this project are going to be full lead service line replacements. But there are occasions where the lead is only either between the water main and the B box, or between the B box and the water meter. And if that's the case, then it might be only a partial service replacement. Also, if there's a galvanized line that is on the customer, the private side between the B box and the meter, if that galvanized line is downstream, if it's lead on the city-owned side, that galvanized portion is going to get replaced as well. Or if it was known to have been lead at some point in the past, it will also be replaced. The galvanized will be replaced. So, and again, the other important takeaway here is only portions of services that are lead or galvanized downstream of lead will be replaced. There's no copper services being replaced as part of this project. All right, the scope of work here, I can find my mouse, move this around, I can see with me. All right, excavation around the B-box and water main. Only small excavators are going to be utilized on the property. There's going to be very little excavation occurring on private property. There's going to be a drilling machine that will be used as well because directional drilling is going to be the method utilized in almost every case on this project. So the drilling machine will be able to stay off the private property by and large, and to keep the excavation to a minimum on the properties. Most lead piping will be abandoned in place, but completely disconnected from the water main and the interior plumbing and replaced with copper. So we're not taking the old lead service line out. That will be in the ground still when the project is done. It will just be abandoned in place, not connected. A new curb stop or B-box will be provided with every service replacement, whether it be a full service or a partial replacement. The meter that you have may be reused or it may be replaced. It just depends on the circumstances and if it's due for replacement. New full flow ball valves will be added to each side of the meter. New meter couplings and meter gaskets will be installed. And basically the service line replacement inside the home will go to the shutoff valve on the downstream side of the meter. So there'll be shutoff valves on either side of the meter. Those will all be new. And then just downstream of that second shutoff valve will be where it'll tie into the existing plumbing inside your home, and that's where the termination will occur. The exterior is to be restored to existing condition. Sod will be used for green space restoration. Temporary seeding will occur from July 1st to August 31st because no sod will be allowed to be installed during that time, but that seeding will be replaced with sod after August 31st. The interior is to be restored to existing conditions, including drywall, painting, cosmetic repairs if needed, and the contractor is to seal the foundation penetrations and make it watertight. All work will be warranted for 1 year. After that, all private side materials, so between the B-box and inside the home, will be the responsibility of the homeowner to maintain. There are terms and conditions that are identified in a temporary construction easement that I believe all have been executed. And then there's the contractor's certificate of insurance that will be provided to the homeowner before construction starts. Couple quick items here. So where we are in the project overall. The project has been bid. There was very good bidding environment, and Brandt Excavating was awarded the project for the price noted here, a little over $3.4 million. Schedule is that we're working through contracting with Brandt currently. The start of construction is going to occur in early April of this year, so maybe mid-April. It's going to be roughly a month away. They're going to target 2 to 3 service replacements per day. It's contingent on various factors, but focusing on trying to get multiple service lines done per day and anticipating final completion by February of 2024. And in fact, the anticipation is that it should be all done by the end of this construction season, maybe November or so of this year. Funding again is through the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency State Revolving Fund loan with 100% principal forgiveness up to $4 million. There will be homeowner meetings. So the contractor resident coordination is a really big part of this process that we have identified requirements for that, sorry. So individual meetings are to be coordinated with each homeowner 3 to 7 days prior to replacement of service if access to the home interior is required. So again, if it's a full service line replacement, or if it's a replacement of a service between the B box and the meter, these resident coordination meetings will occur 3 to 7 days in advance of construction. The partial replacements from main to B box will not require these meetings, but advance notification of work will be provided to the residents in these cases. Typically, it'll be 24 hours in advance with a door hanger giving information, just as an FYI, of how long the service may be out of water and other pertinent details. Existing access to residents will be accessible at all times. If access is temporarily restricted, the contractor will notify the resident 48 hours prior to that occurring. And then we will be handing out a document replacement and flushing of lead service lines. That is a guideline that's provided and will be provided to you on the day that the service is replaced to give you some pointers for how to flush out your line. Brandt Excavating, again, has been awarded the project. We'll be starting here in probably just over a month. We just had, actually, before this, we had the pre-construction meeting to go over some details and get ramped up and ready to go. With us here today is Chris Ahern with Brandt. And I'll mention some things about Brandt, and Chris, you can speak up as well if you want to say anything additional, or just let it go. Brandt has been doing similar work in lead service line replacements for over 8 years. They specialize in horizontal directional drilling and excavating. They have successfully completed lead service line replacements for numerous communities, including the city of Joliet, the city of Aurora, which is ongoing right now, Village of Montgomery, which is a project that we worked with them. So we have familiarity, Engineering Enterprises does, with them, and it's a very successful project, and the Village of Beecher. You won't be able to read this, but there's a couple recommendation letters, very highly regarded recommendation letters from the city of Joliet and the city of Aurora. Both folks actually I personally know and respect their opinions, and they give very high marks, along with the experience that EEI has had with them. So we feel very good about the hands that we're in here. Is there anything else that you wanted to add, Chris, at this time?
We're a small company. I have around 15 to 16 employees. We're family owned. So, we'd like to say we care a little bit more, maybe not. Pretty much everything else he had up there sums it up. I look forward to getting started and working with all of you.
And during the Q&A time, there might be something else for Chris to pipe in on as well. Thank you, Chris. Estimated schedule. So this is just a rough idea of what to expect in the sequence of operations. So again, the resident meetings will occur 3 to 7 days before replacement of a particular service. The contract will set up any traffic control and erosion control that might be necessary. The installation of the new water line will occur, and then the flushing of that line and getting it back into service. And then the restoration items will occur. 4 and 5 could interchange depending on circumstances. The concrete and asphalt restoration, as well as the exterior and interior restoration. The anticipation is that restoration would be done as quickly as possible. So in some cases, it may be done the same day or a couple days later. It may be 1 or 2 weeks later, just depends on particular circumstances of what it is. The goal is that you're not going to be inconvenienced at all. And obviously, there's going to be discussion that will occur on the restoration schedule for certain things. But they're not going to be able to patch every pavement hole that they make on the same day. There's certain things that are going to have to accumulate over time that they're going to have to come back and get to in a larger swath. So typically, that is going to be 1 to 2 weeks or so after the construction occurs. But things will be put in place temporarily to allow you to enjoy the service that you have. Construction schedule, mentioned this already, early to mid-April, targeting 2 to 3 service replacements per day. And based on the anticipated number of replacements that we have at this project, we're anticipating final completion certainly by February of 2024, but even sooner than that, hopefully in November or so of this year. All right, with that, we will go to the question and answer period. There were some questions that were, and I think it would be appropriate, Jeremy, right, to go through these first, one by one. Okay. And then we'll also take questions from the audience and anybody online who's joined us. If you could ask questions at this time as well, get those in, and we'll start working through those. So I'll go through these one by one as they came into the city by 3 o'clock today. First one is there an interest in replacing the sewer line? If there is an interest in replacing the sewer line as well, can this be done at the same time? Can it be done by the same contractor if the homeowner pays the cost? Should we contact another contractor to do the work? And for this, we kind of default to Brant to tell us. I understand you're not really interested in doing sewer service replacements.
Correct.
Okay. So I think that's the answer to that question. Second question, what is the timeline for restorations to be completed? Homeowner has a retaining wall and landscaping that will likely be impacted. So a couple things on this. One is we're really hoping with the nature of the construction, with the drilling and being able to stay off of the private property and just on the right of way, that we're going to be able to avoid a lot of situations with landscaping and retaining walls. We're not going to be doing any open cutting through your yard. There's only going to be the holes opened up at the B box and then at the water main. Those are going to be the only excavation areas that we'll have. The restorations we talked about, it's going to be variable. Some of them are going to be very quick. Some of them might take 1 to 2 weeks afterwards. Third question, will pictures and measurements occur before construction starts? Yes, we will be documenting with pictures and measurements. We've already done a lot of the legwork preliminarily, but even the day before, the day of, we'll be doing a lot of documentation about what the existing conditions look like. And of course, there will be representatives from the city, from EEI, the contractor, all collaborating on site to make sure we're in agreement on quantities and conditions. Question 4, has a company already been contracted for the restoration phase, or will the work be completed by city workers? The restoration is all part of the project. So Brant Excavating is required to handle all the restoration on the project that's in the contract. What guarantee will the city and or contractor provide for the work? This is question 5. Mentioned this earlier, it's a 1-year warranty for everything. And then after that 1 year, it will be, the city will assume responsibility, obviously, for any issues on the public side between the main and the B box. And on the private side between the B box and inside the home, it will transfer to the homeowner's responsibility for any issues that come up at that point. Question? Yes. Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you. It's going to be a seamless run of pipe. So there's not going to be any joints in the piping between the B box and inside the home. So the chances of there being a leak or any issues with the service line between the B box and the first fitting inside the home after it comes into the home, being the first ball valve there, is very, very slim. So yeah, that's a good point. Thank you, Jeremy, for bringing that up. The next question, which I believe is number 6 here, can homeowners get confirmation that the city of Batavia will assume all responsibility if the contractor is unable to stand behind their work? Just answered that. It's a 1-year warranty. The city obviously, again, is going to handle anything on the public side after that, but it is the homeowner's responsibility after that 1-year warranty for anything between the B box and the meter. Can a homeowner opt out of the program now and be included if the opportunity comes up again? That's a good question. I think the caveat there is we don't know if the opportunity is going to come up again. There's a lot of uncertainty and it's a very dynamic situation with the funding through the IEPA. The chances of there being another 100% principal forgiveness opportunity for the city to be able to pass on to the residents is pretty slim based on how it currently looks. There may be an opportunity, but there's no guarantee if you opt out now that the same opportunity will exist in the future. Will contractors need to go into basements? If your water service, if your meter's in the basement, they will be going into the basement. They will be going into the home in order to do the work inside the home. Will homeowners need to be present during construction? Yes, that's in order to allow if there is work to be done in a home, full service line replacement or between the B box and a meter, and the contractor has to get into your home, the homeowner will need to be there during that construction. So that'll all be talked about in the meetings that are going to occur 3 to 7 days before the construction occurs, and trying to facilitate that and work around your schedules as best as possible. Will the yards be dug up? Kind of talked about this already. Yes, there's at the B box location, there will be a small excavation area there for the replacement of that B box. Most of the water main is out in the street, but if it's in the right of way, there will be an excavation required there as well for the tap into the water main. Other than that, because of the construction method, trying to really keep the excavation to a minimum. How long will the homeowners have to go without water service? This is also minimized as much as possible. So they install the new service, and then when they have to do the connections on either end, that's when you're going to be out of water. So you try to keep that to a couple hours, maybe, reasonably to say that. Yeah, 2 to 3 hours maybe maximum that you might be out of water. But again, based on the nature of construction, they really try to minimize that. How long will the water line replacement take? Maximum is a day, but as you could see, they're targeting 2 to 3 replacements per day. So the anticipation is it'll be done. They'll be in and out within a half a day is really the anticipation. Will the old meter be removed and replaced with a new one? It depends. That's up to the city staff to make that determination based on the age of the meter and other conditions. It may be reinstalled or it may be replaced. Will there need to be any changes inside, like a screen to washer hose due to sediment? So that's where the flushing instructions will come in to try to mitigate that. I think that you'll probably try to flush the line out initially into a bucket inside or something like that for any sediment that might be in the line to prevent something like that from happening. So you shouldn't need to replace any of your fixtures inside or take the aerators off or do anything like that. Will the homeowner have to put their own grass seed down after the project is completed? No, that exterior restoration is part of the project. Again, it will be sodded. There will be a time between early July and late August that temporary seeding will go down, but then it'll be replaced with sodding after that. What size diameter line will be brought into the house? Can the homeowner pay for an upcharge? In my home, the incoming line from the street is currently 3/4 inch. Inside the 3/4 inch continues from the inside meter for about 8 feet to the ceiling where it becomes 1 inch. Will they match the 1 inch line from the inside meter to my existing 1 inch line? The new service will go in per current plumbing code standards. I think a great majority of them are going to be 1 inch lines. So if you have something less than a 1 inch currently, you will be getting a 1 inch coming into the home. The meter size will not change though. So there's different factors that go into. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So essentially what you're saying is there would be an upcharge if the homeowner requests a larger size than what's going to be installed. There is going to be an upcharge for that. Yes. Otherwise, there is going to be, a 1 inch service coming in, and then case by case basis, depending on fixture count, plumbing code for what the meter size is going to be. Okay. Thank you. How much notice will the homeowner receive before the installation date? Talked about that. It'll be 3 to 7 days in advance. Is there an indoor shutoff valve prior to the inside water meter and another shutoff just after? See, if there is an indoor shutoff valve prior to the inside water meter and another shutoff just after, will the setup be the same after the repair? If not, could I request the same setup from the contractor at the time of installation? There will be shutoff valves before and after the meter. That the questions that were submitted by 3 o'clock this afternoon. But now we'll open it up for any additional questions that you have. Yeah. Yes, the microphone. I'm sorry.
It's on the chair.
Right behind him. Oh, not that one.
Hello?
Couple of quick ones. Are you going to go neighborhood by neighborhood? And do you know what neighborhood's going to go first?
Those are really good questions. We don't have an answer to your second question about which neighborhood is going to go first. Brant is working on their phasing plan right now. We'll try to get that information out as quickly as we can as far as giving homeowners an advance notice of what areas Brant is going to be working in. But yes, the anticipation is, to your first question, that they will be going neighborhood by neighborhood. It just makes sense for everybody involved, including the contractor, to do it that way.
If you're going, I don't know how big our line is now. I guess 3/4 inch. If we go to a 1 inch, will we have more water pressure than in our house?
It depends on the meter that is installed. If it's the same meter size, it's not going to effectively change anything. But you could end up getting some additional flow if everything's upsized. Yeah.
If the lines coming into our house are lead now, what's the main? Lead?
There is no lead in the mains. And they're ductile iron pipe. I think they're all ductile iron, right? Cast iron. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's cast iron mains, and so the lead components are going to be replaced for the service line as part of this project.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got the rest of my questions there.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
What percentage of the residents do you think you captured in this first round? And as people's yards are being torn up and people are asking questions, they're like, oh, I didn't get in on that. I didn't send in my postcard. Is it too late? Is it too late?
Yeah.
For this round.
Exactly. I think maybe just leave it at that for now, right?
Yes. I mean, the
There was a lot of notice. I mean, I know that you sent out notice after notice after notice, and
door hangers,
yes,
phone calls.
right.
I mean, the list goes on.
Right. So there's really
Money's kind of spoken for now.
Right.
On this phase.
We've worked with a lot of communities doing lead service line replacements, and there's been none that's been more proactive than Batavia as far as getting the word out and making sure that there's been plenty of opportunity for residents to take advantage of this program. So.
Awesome. Okay, my second question. I know that these lead service lines have been in the ground for 100 years now. Is there any risk to another 100 years of them in the ground for the soil, for the groundwater, for environmental health, anything like that?
I can't answer that question. That's a Department of Public Health question. They're allowing the services to be abandoned in place, and I think that's your answer for the time being. Yeah, thank you.
So you say that it is going to be some partial replacement. How are you going to know? You just have to wait until you excavate that area to see how much are you going to replace?
We already know, based on the surveys that are being done, that have been done already, that the city has gone out and accumulated information for each of the services that are due to be replaced. What the service line material is on both sides of the B box. So we have a very good idea going into it what portion of the service line is going to be replaced.
I was talking to a friend in Geneva who had this done a few years ago, and she said that the house owner had to upfront pay the contractor before the grant money is given. Is that correct?
Could you repeat that? I want to make sure I understood the question.
Okay, that the homeowner would have to pay for the construction at your home.
Okay. That there is, the homeowner has to pay zero. There's nothing that the homeowner has to pay for
well,
this
they
project.
had to pay, and then they got reimbursed.
Yeah, you don't have to do that.
Okay.
There is none of that.
Thank
It
Right.
has a cost sharing thing going on right now.
Yeah, there's
a lot
other
of
communities are handling it different ways of cost sharing. It's the policy decisions that they're making, et cetera. But Batavia, for this program, the homeowner has to pay nothing at any time. Yeah. Thank you. If anything, it should improve, theoretically. Will the water pressure be affected at all with this project? And I said, if anything, it should improve. Yeah.
Volume as well.
Yep.
So we do have a couple of people online, so give me a moment here. Sorry, Nancy, is it Hayhurst?
Yes, I was just wondering, will this take place during the week, like from 8 a.m. to 5, or does it take place on the weekends, evenings? You know, what is the time frame of the work schedule?
Generally speaking, it will be Monday through Friday during the working day. There might be occasions where they are working on Saturdays, but it is by and large going to be during the working day, which we know provides some logistical concerns. I know there's probably some logistical concerns with that, but that's where the advanced notification and working with you will be taken into account. We're certainly going to try to be as flexible as possible for your schedules to try to work around them.
Okay, and when will we know if the interior work has to be done in that 3 to 7 days when you're evaluating before it's done, or is it, if you have an outside box, it's outside meter, it's not done. If you have an inside meter, it is done.
Yeah, we will know by that point, by the time of the resident meeting, what the scope of the work is going to be.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have, I'm sorry, Marcy Bauer?
Hi, yes, Macy.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have 3 questions. The first one is, if our meter does have to be replaced, is that at cost to us, or is that going to be covered as well?
No cost.
Perfect. And for the meetings that the contractor will be notifying us 3 to 7 days ahead of time, how will we be notified? Is it a phone call, an email, in person? What does that look like?
All of the above.
And what happens if they call us 3 days ahead and they have to come into our house and we're gone on vacation?
I am at your mercy when I can get into it's your home. You dictate to me when I get in. Usually, typically a phone conversation. You give me your availability and we'll work something out that way.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. Those are the only questions I had, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a couple others. Sorry, Lisa Kraus?
Hi. Yes. Approximately how many residences does this encompass? Hundreds?
Approximately 280.
Okay. All right. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have one more. We have Jim and Nancy?
Oh, Jim and Cindy. Yeah. You might have covered this because I tuned in late. What about risk to, I guess, foundation damage and how the hole is plugged around the pipe? What if there's subsequent leak problems or whatever?
Yeah, that they're going to be using hydraulic cement in order to plug that. It's a proven practice. If there is an issue with that, it should be evident pretty quickly, I would think, and within that warranty period. But it's all standard construction methods they would be using for that to plug that up. It's obviously certainly a concern, something we had identified in the project manual to make sure that gets plugged up and watertight.
And how long is
anything, Chris, for you to add on that?
I've been using, in addition to I was going to discuss this with you. I actually slipped my mind. I use a 2-part epoxy foam as well as the hydraulic cement.
So kind of on the outside of the foundation.
Yeah,
so 2-part epoxy. Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
We fill that, and that usually fills any voids or crevices that we can't see.
Yep.
Small, minute ones. Usually fills those up, and then from there it'll be hydraulic all the way in.
Yep.
It's but what we've seen to be working the best by far. We haven't had, knock on wood, haven't had to go back on anything that we've used the foam hydraulic method on.
Good. Thank you.
How long is the warranty?
1 year.
Okay. And the hole you'll be making for the 1-inch line is what size?
4-inch.
4-inch?
4-inch diameter, yes.
Okay. It'll make it easier to hit with the pipe, I guess, right?
Right.
Thank you. That's all we have right now.
Anything else from the folks here? Okay. Well, I'll stick around for a little bit after as well. If you have any other questions, happy to take them, and really appreciate your time. Looking forward to this project and getting new service lines installed. It's exciting. It's a very good project, I think, for the city and for the residents here. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, everyone.